Right now at 5, the CPKC holiday train rolls into town to support Webb City Cares.
And we've got some winter weather on the way. Winter weather advisories already in place for some of us. Look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, as the weather gets colder, a Missouri teen has made it her mission to make sure people have what they need to stay warm. Now she started her own nonprofit.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Samantha Walker.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is now December the 1st, Monday, and it is going to be very December-like today across the region.
Yes, we might see a little bit of winter weather. Not a lot.
Not too terribly much. Nothing to panic about by any means, but definitely our first taste of winter, and I think it's probably only appropriate that it's on December the 1st. We do have some winter weather advisories, and most of it is honestly for the potential for the slick spots that could build up from some of this wintry weather. So that's why I broke out the winter sweater. I keep them stored in my closet. I've had the same ones for years now. I probably should buy new ones, but they're comfy and they're warm. And it's, oh my gosh.
What is that?
That
is a wasp.
It's absolutely.
That is a wasp.
Yep. Let's take a look at let's take a look at some of our cameras around. Now he's going over there. This is bad. You folks at home know I don't do wasps. I don't know how you're just standing there. Bad timing, Mr. Wasp, because we got stuff to talk about. Okay, well, let's start here. Right now, there's light snow showing up on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, which will show you. Not too terribly much at this point, but there will be more on the way. But from cameras around the area and the areas that there are cameras, so far, nothing we can see. This is KDOT camera 69, just north of Baxter Springs. And then we'll head over to the KDOT camera 171 and 400, and again you can see there's nothing at this point that's actually showing up. MoDOT cameras around the metro area again clear at this time, but light snow is going to continue to push into the area, and this is what it looks like on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. We have it showing up. Now remember, the winter radar sensitivity is a little higher. Oh my goodness, Tim, he's right here. Oh my goodness, this is bad. I'm so sorry for you folks at home. It's just this wasp. I kind of figured it was out of their season. He should not be here right now. Here's what we got on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. He's just bad timing here. We've got this snow continuing to push in. It's light, and we're expecting that light wintry mix to continue. Our winter weather advisories are in place. Parts of southeast Kansas, these will run through 6 this evening, and these were added this morning into northeastern Oklahoma, and they'll run for noon. And the Tulsa Weather Service office has specifically said a lot of this is because they're already getting reports of some slick spots, especially on bridges and overpasses, and that's where we've got to really watch across the region. Temperatures are cold. We don't do a lot of warming. That's why it should stay as wintry type weather. You got 26 in Joplin, 25 in Pittsburgh. And temperatures across the area, we are just kind of sitting out here into the mid to upper 20s. We do have some warmer spots. Grove, Jay, both sitting at 30 at this time. Future track showing that wintry mix. Does show light rain in northeastern Oklahoma, but I still think everything we see should remain pretty well as frozen precipitation. The snow continues, and then eventually we see a transition from a wintry mix of freezing rain, sleet, and snow. And it should begin to transition to just a snow band. Now, this snow band could produce some heavy snow, but it's not expected to add up to much. So it may look like you're about to get something really big, but it's not going to really add up to much, and it's going to move through pretty quickly. And by 8 o'clock this evening, that should be on its way out. So here's what we've got. Again, so far, to our knowledge, no school cancellations. Of course, we'll have those online and on the bottom of your screen if any do come in, but not really expecting any. We got cloudy skies to start, maybe some light snow, upper 20s. We'll go about 30 by lunch, and we're recess 31 as kids head home with that wintry mix continuing. Our highs again upper 20s, low 30s. Not a lot of movement on the temperatures, which is again why this is expected to remain as wintry type weather throughout the day, and that mix of freezing rain, sleet, and snow. Winds should be calm. They're a little bit breezy this morning, but they should calm down a little later this afternoon. We're going to have another look at your forecast. We'll break down everything. We'll keep an eye on road conditions through the morning, keep you updated on that as well, and talk about what happens when the snow does clear out here in just a few more minutes. Samantha?
Chris, thanks. Residents in Commerce, Oklahoma feel the heat from across the street as a house was consumed by flames. Video sent to KOAM from Commerce resident Kylie Water shows the flames as they burst out of the side of the house. Water says as she opened her front door, she could feel the heat from the fire. The home was reported as vacant and public works crews have torn down the house in the interest of public safety. No injuries from this incident have been reported. In other parts of the Show Me State, fire crews battle an intense multi-building fire that continues to burn. Caroline Hecker has more from the scene.
On initial response, we had fire probably going 200-300 foot in the air.
A massive plume of smoke over downtown St. Louis, flames lighting up the sky of Choteau's Landing. Nearly 200 firefighters battling to keep this enormous multi-building fire from spreading. Fire crews were called out about 2:30 Friday morning, the blaze quickly becoming a 5-alarm fire due to the sheer amount of water needed to contain the flames.
It shut a lot of electric down in the area because we had heavy wires coming down, so we did shut all that down.
The buildings at the heart of this were once the historic Crundon Martin Manufacturing Company. For decades, Crundon Martin churned out metal goods, including helmets for the war effort in the 1940s. But the company went bankrupt in the 90s, and the complex has sat vacant ever since.
There's a lot of combustible products in these buildings, all the floors and all the old timber. It's going to burn a while.
The building was set to be part of a riverfront development plan by the Good Development Group. The group releasing a statement Friday saying in part, while it's too early to know the full extent of the damage or the long-term implications for the project, our commitment to this area and to St. Louis has not changed. Fire officials told us they did have to help a number of unhoused people out of the building. Remarkably, no injuries have been reported so far. In the meantime, fire crews will be working around the clock as the fire is expected to burn until Sunday. Caroline Hecker, First Alert 4.
Despite the rain, the holidays officially rolled into the 4 states. The CPKC holiday train made stops in both Pittsburgh and Joplin this weekend to help get the season underway. The 2025 CPKC holiday train tours Canada and the United States through December 21st, raising money, food, and awareness to support communities. The communities' visits like Webb City Cares. Attendees are encouraged to bring non-perishable items to the free family-friendly stops. The holiday train turns a boxcar into a stage for a live concert featuring artists like Smash Mouth and JJ Wild. And despite the weather, community members gathered in Pittsburgh this weekend for the annual tree lighting ceremony. The free event, hosted by the city and downtown Pittsburgh, took place at the Pritchett Pavilion. The holiday program featured the tree lighting, photos with Santa, Mickey and Minnie Mouse, and others. The 20-foot tree will remain up throughout the holiday season for the whole community to enjoy. BTC Athletics and Dance in Pittsburgh hosted a Kidpreneur craft fair as part of Small Business Saturday. Kids had booths set up with handmade items or baked goods for sale to the public. The purpose for the craft fair is to get the idea of entrepreneurship and the things that come with it along in the minds of the young people. As the weather gets colder, a Missouri teen has made it her mission to make sure people have what they need to stay warm. Claire Bradshaw reports from Kansas City.
Blue Springs teen Reagan Galloway works hard every winter. She is a nonprofit, Kang the Cold, a softball term meaning to strike out the cold. She collects cold weather items for people in need. Reagan then gives those to other nonprofits like Shelter KC and Many Parts One Body so they can focus their resources elsewhere.
When I was 9, I learned about a family member that didn't have the best childhood and didn't have a bed to grow up on, to sleep on. And so we were talking about it. We're sitting at the dinner table. I was like, yeah, I really want to help people. We just started with blankets and sleeping bags. And so as we've grown, we've done more things like gloves, stocking hats, socks, and sometimes even hand warmers.
Just in her first year, Reagan collected 132 blankets, and this year she has a goal of 6,000 items with a garage full of donations to show it. Reagan's mom, Christy, is her manager, but also one of her biggest supporters.
She has talked about wanting other kids to get involved, so we officially started an ambassador program. We became a nonprofit last year, so our board approved this to where other kids can essentially go and fundraise, and if they're in other parts of the states, they can identify organizations that they want to support and donate to as long as it falls into our missions.
Even including little kids, 5-year-olds or 6-year-olds, and just having them help. It's showing them like what the world kind of looks like outside of like what they have.
People who want to help Reagan can donate through her Amazon wish list or follow her Facebook page for more information. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Secretary of State Marco Rubio meets with Ukrainian negotiators in Florida, pushing for peace. Plus, from baby animals watch to police horse chases, the week's most interesting stories. And winter weather conditions in the 4 states with potential snow chances. Chris has a look at your weekly forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, a U.S. delegation led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Ukrainian negotiators in Florida on Sunday in an attempt to hammer out a deal that will bring Russia's war with Ukraine to an end. This comes as the U.S. delegation prepares to travel to Russia on Monday for more talks. CBS News' Torian Small is in Washington with details.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Ukrainian negotiators in Florida on Sunday in a push for peace aimed at ending the war sparked by Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
We want to see the end of the killing and the death and the suffering, and I'm sure the Ukrainian side, I know they do as well, they want peace. But it's also about securing an end to the war that leaves Ukraine sovereign and independent.
Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, also represented the U.S. during Sunday's talks. They're expected to travel to Moscow on Monday. Also, over the weekend, President Trump escalated threats of military force against Venezuela, declaring on social media that the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela should be considered closed. While the U.S. can't unilaterally close another country's airspace, the Federal Aviation Administration has been warning airlines for weeks to avoid the area due to increased military activity. When Face the Nation, lawmakers from both parties expressed concern over possible U.S. military intervention in Venezuela, as well as U.S. strikes on vessels that officials accuse of smuggling drugs, often without evidence, killing dozens of people.
I will move with colleagues Senator Schumer, Senator Paul, Senator Schiff immediately should there be military action.
There is a buildup that the president has not explained in a way that relates solely to the actions that are currently going down in the Caribbean. It is certainly a significant concern in Congress.
The president has said future attacks on Venezuela would not be limited to boats. Torian Small, CBS News, Washington.
On Sunday evening, President Trump told reporters he believes there's a good chance the U.S. can help make a deal to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. Well, still to come, dropping temperatures makes you want to drop onto the couch. Experts say winter exercise and healthy eating remain critical for your health. Plus, winter weather conditions in the 4 states with potential snow chances. Chris has a look at your Monday forecast. The National Zoo is on baby watch. A horse gets in a hoof race with police officers, and we show off a strange house doubling as a shrine to a hit Netflix show. Patrick Cornell looks back at the week's best stories.
Take a look at the week we had. This ultrasound giving us a sneak peek at the Asian elephant calf expected to be born at Smithsonian's National Zoo in early 2026. Staff are carefully monitoring Mama, Ni Lin, to keep the pregnancy on track. Ni Lin is voluntarily taking part in prenatal ultrasounds to allow keepers to track the calf's fetal development, heartbeat, and movement. If all goes as planned, this would be the first Asian elephant calf born at the zoo in nearly a quarter century. Staff say they are cautiously optimistic they'll see that new baby elephant next year. Check out some cops hoofing it in hot pursuit of a super fast stallion. Monroe Township, New Jersey PD say they got a call about the horse they've dubbed Seabiscuit to protect its real identity. The horse naturally took off when approached, and an officer did his best to keep up. A short time later, they were finally able to wrangle the runaway and return it to its owner. In Florida, a coyote somehow found itself perched on the ledge of a Fort Myers hotel parking deck for a couple of hours. Police, firefighters, and Fish and Wildlife all showed up and did their best to wrangle the wild animal. In the end, the coyote simply decided to safely slip back into the parking garage and run away. If that wasn't strange enough for you, take a gander at this house decked out in all things Stranger Things to celebrate the series' 5th and final season. Colorado teenager Jared Meisner is the creator of the Hawkins-inspired upside-down display.
10 out of 10 on Stranger Things fan.
It includes all the hits, a Demogorgon, the Mind Flayer, and Max suspended high above the ground. The Stranger Things shrine really shines at night. It's been given a Christmas twist so all fans can fan out all holiday long. For Take a Look at This Week, I'm Patrick Cornell.
Seems like animals are always getting themselves in all sorts of situations. My cat we're just trying to keep from climbing the Christmas tree currently. Well, now here's Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got the potential for some wintry weather today. We do have some winter weather advisories in place in parts of the area. We're going to break down details when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's coming up on 5:23 on this wintry December 1st. It wouldn't be December without some kind of wintry weather, and it's only appropriate that it's happening on December 1st. And again, an apology to all of you from the start of the show. If you've watched the show long enough, you know I don't do wasps, bees, things like that. And that guy, he's gone. Hopefully. But I know it's a little bit chaotic there. I'm not going to mess with him. Here's what we've got, though. Now we can get on to the weather. We've got the snow showers out there. Now, some of this that's on radar is not actually reaching the ground right now. When we switch over to winter radar, it interprets things. Winter radar is a bit more sensitive than regular radar, and so it may pick up on stuff that isn't actually making it to the ground just yet. But we do have snow showers continuing to push in across the region, and we have winter weather advisories. Our northwestern counties in southeast Kansas until 6, and northeastern Oklahoma. These came down early this morning, just after 4, and these will run through noon. Now, the Tulsa office did mention that one of the reasons they were putting these winter weather advisories out was it's not so much for accumulating snowfall, it's for slick spots that are starting to get reported on bridges and overpasses. And that's really our biggest concern with any wintry weather in our area, is ultimately it just creating somewhat hazardous driving conditions. Now, right now, KDOT in our region, clear roads is what they are reporting. So that's some good news. But again, this will begin to change as this snow kind of picks up a bit and actually starts reaching the ground. Onto the Missouri side, still same thing, clear road conditions in our region. But this could still change. And like I said, slick spots are truly going to be our biggest concern across the area. So we have this wintry mix that will continue. It should start really ramping up at 7, 8 o'clock this morning. I say ramping up, I just mean reaching the ground. Let me put it to you that way. If I say ramping up, it makes it sound like a blizzard's coming. That's not the case. We have the snow. As we head later into the afternoon and evening, I'd say after about 4, we start transitioning to more just snow and less wintry mix. Our wintry mix is going to be some sleet, freezing rain, and snow. And then by later this afternoon into the evening, as temperatures drop a bit, we should see a transition to snow. Now, we get this snow band across the region. By 5, it's along and north of I-44. It could produce some momentary heavy snow, but it's not expected to add up to much of anything. You may look out the window, you may see the heavier snow falling. It's not really going to do much, but it will look like that, which could cause driving in travel conditions and issues of its own if it comes down a little heavier, makes it a little harder to see. By 8, the last of this is rolling on out of here. Could have a flurry or two overnight, but otherwise skies start going partly cloudy. And for our Tuesday, we should be mostly clear to partly cloudy across the area. Still chilly, but a little bit warmer. So here's what the current thinking is, and this live updates. It updates every so many hours, but it should update again probably through the morning show. Right now, you can see most of us a ½ inch, maybe an inch. It's up where we have these winter weather advisories into our northwestern counties, where that's more for the snowfall, with heavier snow expected well outside of our area. But you can see some locations can get upwards of 2 inches out in our northwestern counties, but for the most part, should be about a ½ inch to an inch at most of any snowfall. So, wintry mix through the morning. Temperatures will not move much. Those clouds, they do the same thing regardless. They're going to keep our temperatures pretty steady. We'll be into the upper 20s through the morning hours, and eventually some of you will top out at the upper 20s. Others might. I did not change these numbers. I do apologize. Boy, it has been a Monday, so ignore that. That is accurate, though. We'll be into the upper 20s and low 30s with that wintry mix, and again, eventually beginning to transition into snow. Into the evening hours we go. Now, that's correct. We go through the upper 20s. Still not a lot of movement, but as skies begin to clear, it does get a little colder, dropping back into the upper teens and low 20s. A little warmer again tomorrow, upper 30s, low low 40s, mild on Wednesday, upper 40s. We briefly dip back for Thursday and Friday a wee bit, and then into the weekend, not too bad, somewhat seasonal. And you see these 10%, but then you don't see anything underneath. We're just keeping an eye on maybe some light shower activity that could possibly develop next week, but still several days away. Let's check your forecast. We're going to send it over to Samantha now with Health Watch.
Thanks, Chris. On Friday, a senior official at the FDA announced that the COVID-19 vaccine caused the deaths of at least 10 children. The internal memo claimed that research had shown that, quote, healthy young children who face tremendously low risk of death were coerced at the behest of the Biden administration via school and work mandates to receive a vaccine that could result in death. While no details were provided surrounding how the FDA reached this conclusion, they did point to their analysis of 96 deaths, 10 of which were allegedly linked to the COVID-19 vaccination. And as a result, officials now say that vaccines will require more evidence of their safety and value before they can be marketed. The World Health Organization has new guidelines on popular GLP-1 weight loss drugs. The Global Organization of Health experts say GLP-1 therapies are effective, but there's limited long-term data on the drugs, and there are cost barriers that keep them from being an option for many. The WHO recommends using the drugs with behavioral therapy to maximize and sustain weight loss. The RSV vaccine may have an added benefit. It can help protect kids from asthma. A study in Denmark found that RSV, a common respiratory virus primarily affecting infants, is linked to asthma, but infants who received the RSV vaccine had a lower likelihood of developing asthma. Doctors say this is more evidence that parents should have their children vaccinated. It's the time of year when the temperatures are dropping, and you may be tempted to stay on the couch rather than get out and move. But experts say getting exercise and having a healthy diet year-round is critical for health, even when you don't want to do it. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has ways to manage winter weight in the weeks ahead.
Add up colder weather, plus darker days, and all that comfort food. It can equal an unhealthy shift on the scale.
A lot of people sort of hunker down in the winter and stay inside a little bit more often.
Dr. Kathleen Moeller with the American Academy of Family Physicians says the first step to keeping a healthy weight in winter is to have a plan to work out. If you're an outdoor exerciser in warmer weather, consider getting a gym membership now so that you can start the habit of going when the temperatures drop even further. Or just add ways into your day to move more.
That can be taking the stairs, that can be walking farther from the parking lot into the grocery store. Any bit of movement helps.
With all the winter holidays, we tend to be surrounded by foods we don't normally eat. Mueller says to tackle the temptation to overindulge by having healthy options and allowing that to be your default.
So a veggie platter in addition to the cheese and crackers, and just make sure that we're going towards the veggie platter a little more often.
Finally, Mueller says to remind yourself why you want to maintain a healthy weight. It's not just about how we look, but how we feel now and in the future.
Being a healthy weight reduces your risk of inflammatory conditions, cardiovascular disease, and cancers. We also just are able to move longer through our lifespan and have a longer health span if we maintain a healthy weight throughout our lives.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
That's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 5:30, the president's approval rating hits its lowest point of his second term.
And we've got that potential for wintry weather across the area with winter weather advisories already in place for some of us. Details coming up.
Plus, the D.C. shooting suspect now faces murder charges after National Guard member Sarah Beckstrom dies from her injuries.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KLAM Morning News. It's 5:33. I'm Samantha Walker.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is now Monday, December the 1st, and it is very December-like. I know I said that earlier, but then the wasp interrupted us. He's gone. But yeah, it's definitely the appropriate way, really, to kick off December is with some wintry weather.
Yes, definitely. I know you've brought out your sweaters to kind of bring December in. I'm wearing a red to be like, it's officially kind of Christmas season.
It is. Honestly, with Christmas music season, I love Christmas music. I know not everybody does, but I do. But there is also a time and a place for it. Like Black Friday to Christmas Day, good. Anytime outside of that,
yes.
A little too early, a little too late. But you might want to play some Christmas music as you watch the snow fall, because some of us are certainly going to see at least a little. I do want to emphasize that too. Our biggest concern with the snow is more so on travel impacts versus anything else, leading to some slick spots. Let's start with a live look from downtown Pittsburgh. Now, right now, Skywatch Storm Tracker, which I'll show you in a minute, is actually showing snow in Pittsburgh, some light snow. But as you can see from this camera, that is not the case. We still have some very dry air aloft. And so what that means is the precipitation's up there, but it's pretty dry in between there and here, and so it's not really reaching the ground. Our camera 7th and range line in Joplin is clear. Now, of course, this is black and white. That's not snow on the grass here, but this is the KDOT camera 69 just north of Baxter Springs. I am the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. Again, still pointed back to the southwest because you see there's that truck stop. So this is 171 heading back toward Missouri. It is clear as well, as are the MoDOT cameras around the metro area at this point, but of course we're keeping an eye on all of them because again, the biggest concern with anything that does actually fall and stick is going to be more so with slick spots on roadways. In fact, Tulsa put out, the Tulsa Weather Service office put out a winter weather advisory, which we'll show you all of those in a moment, but it was primarily because they were starting to get reports of slick spots on bridges and overpasses. And so that's what we've really got to watch out for primarily across the region, is just some slick spots here and there. So again, Skywatch Storm Tracker, you see it looks like there's a lot of snow out there, but we still have some dry air, which is preventing some of this from actually reaching the ground. Those winter weather advisories are northwestern counties in Kansas until 6. Now that is also because you may get upwards of 2 inches of snow or so further northwest, and then we have them again in northeastern Oklahoma through noon. Temperatures will not do a lot of moving, so again, this should all be wintry type precipitation. We're 26 in Joplin, 25 in Pittsburgh, and around the region, low to mid 20s for most, mid to upper 20s for most of us to start. Do have some 30s, Veneta Grove J. Now, if it does a little more warming, you may see a brief transition to rain, but it would be very brief because temperatures aren't going to move all that much. In fact, Future Track, it hinted at it earlier, so you might get warm enough that it's briefly rain. But we're otherwise dealing initially with sleet, freezing rain, and snow, so that wintry mix. And as we go later into the afternoon, early evening hours, temperatures will fall back just enough that this should transition to snow. And that snow band begins to exit by 8. It moves pretty quickly. It may produce some heavy snow. You may look outside and see that heavy snow, but it's not, again, going to add up to too terribly much out there for us heading through the afternoon. But it could also cause travel problems of its own if that snow comes down pretty heavy, even for just a few minutes. You want to make sure you're being cautious. Kids out the door, again, cloudy skies, maybe some light flurries, and then that wintry mix starts building in 7 o'clock and beyond. We'll go 30 at lunch and recess, 31 heading home. That goes back to the temperatures again, not moving much. There's not much change. We're upper 20s, low 30s. That's where our highs will be. That's where we'll be for most of this day, and winds are expected to be calm. And again, later this evening, we'll start to see that transition more so to snow versus the wintry mix. We're going to have another look at your forecast, talk about all the snow, some of the snow totals we're looking at, and what happens after the snow here in just a few more minutes. Samantha?
Chris, thanks. A Gallup survey found only 36% of Americans approve of the job the president is doing. 60% of people oppose his handling of the job. This is the lowest approval rating of the president's second term in office. The survey was conducted between November 3rd and November 25th. This was around the time of the year election and the federal government shutdown. The poll shows Republicans and independents' rating of the president have dropped since last month. Republicans' approval of the president has fallen 7 points to 84%, while only 25% of independents approve of the president. In the aftermath of a National Guard member's death following a shooting in Washington, D.C., President Donald Trump is escalating his immigration crackdown. This comes as the U.S. Attorney for D.C. announces the shooting suspect will now face a murder charge. Lee Waldman has the latest.
The day after 20-year-old National Guard member Sarah Beckstrom died from her gunshot injuries, her loved ones are trying to cope with the loss.
Kind of hard to believe, more type. I don't know if it's really hit me the hardest yet. Kind of in shock.
Another National Guard member, Sergeant Andrew Wolf, is critically wounded. The shooting suspect has been identified as an Afghan national who first came to the U.S. in September 2021, shortly after the chaotic U.S. withdrawal from Kabul.
There are certainly many more charges to come, but we are upgrading the initial charges of assault to murder in the first degree.
The suspect was one of more than 190,000 Afghans admitted to the U.S. under Operation Allies Welcome and Enduring Welcome, according to the State Department. In the wake of the shooting, President Donald Trump has called for an even more intense immigration crackdown.
This heinous atrocity reminds us that we have no greater national security priority than ensuring that we have full control over the people that enter and remain in our country. For the most part, we don't want them.
Trump added he would, quote, permanently pause migration from all third world countries, but didn't specify which countries he's referring to. West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey says he'll continue to support the mission of the state's National Guard members in Washington, D.C.
When you have these terrorists, when you have these evildoers, you're not going to back down when these people try to go after our servicemen and women.
In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Coming up, millions of SNAP recipients face new work requirements to keep food benefits. Plus, Cyber Monday brings record spending, according to Adobe Analytics. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. In Consumer Watch, millions of SNAP food benefit recipients may soon have to meet new work rules to keep their benefits. Millions of SNAP food benefit recipients may soon have to meet these rules. The Republican-backed Big Beautiful Bill now requires at least 80 hours of activity each month for a much wider group of people. A Congressional Budget Office report says that will mean 2.4 million fewer people getting benefits on average each month. States are reporting confusion, rushed timelines, and technology systems not ready to implement the change. As a result, some residents could lose food aid as soon as January. State officials warn the full impact will unfold as recipients hit their next recertification deadlines. From a year ago, according to Adobe Analytics, Cyber Monday bargains are also expected to bring record spending today. Cybersecurity experts are, however, warning shoppers to beware of online scams, from bogus bargains that look too good to be true, to misspelled URL scam sites and sites asking for alternative payment forms. That's it for Consumer Watch, and now here's Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, again, we do have some winter weather advisories in place, some light snow showers beginning to push into the area. We're going to have a complete look at your forecast, break down those snow totals, and of course what happens after the snow. The KOAM Morning News returns, time now 5:44.
In today's AgDay Minute, John Deere net income predictions fall short of Wall Street's expectations.
I'm Clinton Griffiths with today's AgDay Minute. Ag industry bellwether John Deere releasing its fourth quarter earnings. Deere & Company reporting net income for fiscal year 2025 down 29% and full year net sales and revenue down 12% compared to last year. The company is forecasting net income next year to be in the range of $4 billion to $4.75 billion, which fell short of Wall Street's expectations. Kroger says it's looking to increase profitability with its e-commerce operations. The grocer saying it's expanding its relationship with Instacart and is also launching a new customer experience on Uber Eats marketplace early next year. Meanwhile, it will close 3 of its automated fulfillment centers. It hopes to increase profits by approximately $400 million in 2026. And it appears some wine grapes have quite the memory. Researchers at the University of California, Davis say Cabernet Sauvignon wine was born about 400 years ago from a cross between Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc. They say since grapevines aren't replanted every year, each vine is essentially a clone of its ancestor and is genetically nearly identical to the original Cabernet Sauvignon vine from the 17th century. Researchers determining the gene memory of the vines have remained remarkably stable, holding the molecular memory of where it came from. For more Ag News, watch AgDay weekdays on the station or get updates over at agweb.com.
Now let's take it over to Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Now we've got that potential for some wintry weather today. Wouldn't be December without. Skywatch Storm Tracker right now makes it look like there's a lot more snow out there than what there really is. We've got, of course, a number of KDOT, MoDOT cameras in the area. We've got, of course, our camera downtown Pittsburgh, downtown Joplin, and one here at the station. And you can see in Pittsburgh, Skywatch Storm Tracker hinting that snow is there. But we do have dry air aloft over a good portion of the area as well. So we get the snow and then the dry air, and then it doesn't actually reach the ground. So it's high enough that the radar sweeps pick it up, but then it evaporates before it reaches the ground. Now, more of this snow, though, is going to start reaching the ground. And in northeastern Oklahoma, and starting to push into parts of McDonald County, I'd say if you're roughly in this zone here, it's probably starting to show up ground level, and will continue to do so. And so the biggest concern we have today with winter weather is going to be more so on travel impacts with slick spots versus significant accumulations. Not really expecting much there, but it could still lead to slick spots around the region. Here's the winter weather advisories we have in place right now. Northwestern counties of southeast Kansas until 6. Now up here, you could get maybe 2.5 inches of snow with higher amounts off to our north. So that's why those are in place. Of course, that'll have travel impacts of its own. Into northeastern Oklahoma, the Tulsa Weather Service office, these run until noon. They put these out just after 4 o'clock this morning, primarily because down a little further southwest, they were starting to get reports of slick spots on bridges and overpasses. They weren't getting reports of inches and inches of snow, just that it was leading to slick spots. So that's again where our biggest issue lies. Right now, KDOT in our region, as you can see, reporting clear roadways. That will, of course, begin to change a bit for some of us as we head into the afternoon. MoDOT, same thing. Right now, at least into our region, be still reporting clear roadways. Just saw a report, too, from KSHB in Kansas City that they're starting to see the snow actually make it a little further and make it to the ground up at Arrowhead Stadium. So it will continue to increase and eventually start reaching the ground. What we're looking at is that wintry mix. So freezing rain, sleet, and snow for most of the area. This morning, we do have some of our northeastern Oklahoma counties where we've got temperatures about 30. Obviously, it's still below freezing, but you're warmer than most of us are. Future Track seems to believe you might warm up just briefly enough to see a momentary transition to rain with this precipitation, but it will be brief. Temperatures don't do a lot of moving today. Once we head later into the afternoon and evening, we're going to start to transition away from a wintry mix and more into a snow situation. And again, this band, it's going to move very quickly. Between 3 and 8, it is from Fort Scott, Parsons, Coffeyville, and by 8, it's in Cassville and on its way out. So it will move quickly, but it could drop some heavy amounts of snow. Let me rephrase that, not going to drop them. It could produce some heavy snow, which could lead to some travel concerns just briefly this evening. It shouldn't add up to much in the way of accumulations, but you could see some heavy snow momentarily. And the bad timing is at 5 o'clock. That puts it right along and north of I-44, so that's that commute home. Now, like I said, by 8, the main batch of that snow is on its way out. A stray flurry or two possible overnight tonight. We'll have partly cloudy skies, and then for our Tuesday, we're partly cloudy, even mostly clear in some cases before we see clouds begin to return heading into Wednesday. Let's take a look at those snow totals for you. I know a lot of folks are curious. Again, there are so many computer models that look at this data. This is just one, and this one, again, based on looking at everything else, seems to be the one that's a bit closer to accurate. You can see, 1 to 2 inches. That's why we have those winter weather advisories in our far northwestern counties, and you can see that those higher snow totals jive with where those advisories are. You get outside of that, we're talking a ½ inch, maybe an inch, really not expecting much outside of that region. So like I said, that band could produce some heavy looking snow, but it may not really add up to much in the long run. So here's what we've got. Wintry mix. Temperatures, there's really not anything moving with them. Upper 20s. By this afternoon, some of you will top out in the upper 20s. Others may make the low 30s. And again, that's why some of you in northeastern Oklahoma may briefly see a transition to rain. Will otherwise again be cold. Winds expected to be calm. Overnight tonight, we'll have the rain, I'm so used to rain. The snow showers wrapping up by 8, 9 o'clock. We're cold tonight, partly cloudy, upper teens, low 20s, northwest winds 5 to 10. Southwest winds 5 to 10 tomorrow, upper 30s, low 40s, upper 40s degrees on Wednesday. Watching for the possibility of maybe some rain chances and Thursday and Friday, depending on the temperatures, maybe some more wintry weather. A little warmer this weekend and warm next week as well. That's Check Your Forecast. We're back with more right after this.
According to Adobe Analytics, consumers spent $8.6 billion online on Black Friday. That's a 9.4% increase over last year. Experts say that growth was driven by steeper discounts than forecast. Another thing to consider is Cyber Monday is typically also a big day for online sales. A new study explains why certain cats may greet male owners louder than women. The data was gathered after cat owners were given body cameras to wear at home. Researchers say the cats meowed more frequent when saying hello to their male caregivers. Animal experts suggest cats are more vocal because men don't always listen, forcing the feline to adjust their behavior. The study didn't account for how long a cat had been left alone or whether it was hungry. Additional research has also shown communication between cats and humans varies across cultures.
That's some good information, I suppose. I mean, I had cats when I was growing up. I don't recall them doing that necessarily, but I mean, us men, sometimes we do have a hard time listening. And I guess we're listening. We're not paying attention. We're just not paying attention to what's going on, and I guess the cats have figured that out too. That's kind of a pain, but interesting to know. Something else interesting to know. First, I also want to point out, you see where it seems like this snow band here just recycles. It's because that dry air across the area. We see snow on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. It's not necessarily reaching the ground just yet, but you get along and southwest of that point, we're starting to see the snow actually reach the ground. A reminder, we do have winter weather advisories that are in place for our northwestern counties and southeast Kansas through 6 o'clock. Could see up to 2 inches of snow up here. And then in northeastern Oklahoma, these run until noon. And again, our primary concern with any wintry weather today is with slick spots on the roadways. So on your commute to, from, school, work, whatever the case may be, just be cautious. We're going to go upper 20s, low 30s today, low 20s and upper teens tonight. A pinch warmer tomorrow, better on Wednesday, a little cooler Thursday, and warming up into the weekend. That's Check Your Forecast. Got another hour of the KOAM Morning News up next.